All right. Hi, Disruptive Technologists. Today I'm speaking with Arnell Milhouse, CEO at CareerDevs. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us and having a conversation with me.
It's an absolute honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. So tell us about CareerDevs, your role there, and how it came about.
So CareerDevs is a 12-month rigorous and immersive computer science program that's designed for the layperson in the United States. And our target is to identify folks who have been left behind, which by our calculations is 70% of the population. We want to find individuals that are making less than $50,000 a year, which accounts for 70% of Americans. And we want to bring them through our 12-month rigorous computer science program. And we guarantee that every graduate will land a high-paying job earning between $50,000 and $80,000 a year in 6 months or less. And if they don't do it, they don't land that job within 6 months, they never have to pay us a dime, ever. And so it's a innovative and disruptive model for education. And I got involved basically because of all my friends. When I graduated college with a computer science degree, all of my friends came knocking when they noticed that, hey, I had a high-paying career. I loved my work, and it was things I did on the weekends, even if I wasn't working. And a lot of my friends that were underemployed were asking me how could they do it. So one by one, I worked with them, I trained them, and got them into the tech field, into the computer science arena. And every single one of those people, about 25 people in total, are now earning between $100,000 and $250,000 a year.
Nice.
And then that ultimately led to me figuring out that I can't train the world individually, that I need to probably start doing this at scale. And so that's how CareerDevs was born.
So you were originally doing this on your own?
Yeah, and it was, again, people asking me for help. And then once I helped one person, as soon as that first person got their paycheck, 3 or 4 of their friends would come knocking. And so then it became kind of overwhelming fairly quickly. But then I said, okay, how can we do this at scale? But initially it was just me.
Wow. All right. That's amazing. So in addition to your work with CareerDevs, you're also entrepreneur in residence at Brown University. So
Yes.
What is an entrepreneur in residence, and how did you get involved with that at Brown?
So an entrepreneur in residence is an individual who takes time to hold office hours, give lectures, create original content, materials, symposiums, and we meet with students who are curious about entrepreneurship, or students that have that idea, they have that spark, they say, listen, I know what I want to do. So on a weekly basis, I hold office hours. I would say that's probably where the majority of my time is spent. And that's really what the core of the role is designed to do, to interface with the students at Brown University, to help them to really be the midwife of thought. So the way that Socrates considered himself, to help them really figure out and sculpt and mold their ideas into the next big thing, something that can really hit the market at scale. And the way I got involved with this, it was a chance meeting in Rhode Island. We had this amazing, one of the top 10 art installations in the world. It's called Waterfire. And it's about a 1/4 mile long. It's beautiful. There are gondola boats. And at one of these events at Waterfire, I was introduced to Danny Warshay, who is the executive director of entrepreneurship at Brown University. And literally, I would say from day one at that meeting, when we were talking, I was talking about the idea at that time about CareerDevs, what we were planning on doing. And he really liked the disruptive aspect of it. And he said, listen, let's get together, let's sit down, let's talk, let's have a tea. And so I went up to Brown and we hit it off and we never looked back. And so in the first 2 years, it was more of a unofficial role of me going there, speaking, meeting with students. And then last year, I became an official entrepreneur in residence. And it's a 1-year position in the official capacity. And so this September would end that. But my relationship with Danny and the Nelson Center for Entrepreneurship at Brown University will continue and thrive for as long as they'll have me. So,
very cool. What are some of the important lessons you've learned about entrepreneurship and startups?
So being around the Nelson Center at Brown, as much as I felt like I knew what entrepreneurship was, being an entrepreneur myself previously, it completely transformed my worldview. And one of the first things is, really simply finding and validating an unmet need. Because a lot of entrepreneurs, when they have their idea, they fall in love with it. They fall more in love with their idea than customers do, right? Than users do. And no one can convince them that their idea is not a good one. And at Brown, we've created this concept that anyone can learn entrepreneurship. So there's a systematic and academic approach and methodology to becoming an entrepreneur. And that first step is probably one of the most important things that I've learned, is that you have to make sure that you are validating that you have found and discovered an unmet need. And there's so much to unpack there, but a lot of people, they have ideas. If they see Uber, I want to create the next version of Uber. If they see Snapchat, I want to create the next version of Snapchat. But they're trying to meet needs that have already been met. And so really taking the time to ponder and talk with clients and really discover something as new as those entrepreneurs that other people are copying and imitating. That if any entrepreneur just begins with that first step in the process, they will be 70% into goal.
Yeah, nice. That's pretty inspiring. Really a lot of passion with you. You speak about that. That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So during the panel last week of Mesa, Disruptive Technologists, on diversity and inclusion, you mentioned you're interested in supporting diversity from all spectrums of the rainbow. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it's interesting that we talk about diversity. And one of my favorite pastimes, I watch a lot of wildlife and nature documentaries, David Attenborough and things of that nature. But when you look at the world, when you look at humanity, it's already diversified. And so when I speak about diversity, I kind of feel like I'm doing civilization a disservice, because the world has already diversified itself. And so what I'm trying to do is simply create something that reflects the natural world. And CareerDevs, we've never advertised ourselves as a diverse community, but we have every color under the rainbow. And probably in step with our geographic and demographic profile of our surrounding cities that we operate in. So we just make sure that, and my co-founder, and I have an amazing co-founder, we've talked about this and people have asked us and we said, we've never done anything. He's Caucasian, I'm African-American, and we just have a diverse attraction for people that want to come. And you know what, I think one of the things that it is that we are focused on diversifying wealth, not through the redistribution of wealth, but simply giving people agency, that's the skills to operate in this 21st century so that you can become a computer science, software engineer, machine learning, artificial intelligence specialist, cloud architect, whatever your future may hold. We simply give people the tools. We teach them powerful things. And by approaching that segment of society that earns 20,000 and 50,000, that's a very diverse population in and of itself, right? It's actually 70% of our country earns that. So I think by targeting those individuals, it's going to be by nature diverse versus schools that have high tuitions, right? That's already addressing a different population, a non-diverse population. So I think that our model in and of itself lends itself to being diverse friendly.
How does age diversity fall into that?
We have the panoply. It ranges the spectrum 22 years old up to 48 years old, I think is the current age range. And we find individuals that are in their 30s and 40s gaining work without a problem. And I believe this might be tied into one of your other questions, but so I'll stop there and then I'll answer that part of it I think that's coming up in one of your questions. So yeah, we're open. If someone can go through our 8-week assessment period and they can get through that, then they can graduate from CareerDevs and they will land a job, and we can guarantee them that.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. And then from your experience, what are some of the things that experts are getting wrong about diversity in the workplace?
The experts in diversity. What does that even mean? It's a fictitious concept, right? But the people that are trying to bring about diversity, it feels like something that is an affirmative action concept, right? That they're doing it more so out of a charitable sense than a need or a value added sense. And as long as that's going to be the case, then you're going to make the wrong hiring decisions. You're not going to bring in people that are going to add tremendous value to your company and move the bottom line, innovate with you, and help your company disrupt and embrace and change the future. Because diversity hiring, we don't have a diversity team. We don't have, it's insane. It's crazy. I believe that when companies, and there are some companies that are doing a great job at that, better than others, the numbers for the computer science industry are still abhorrent. They're extremely low. But I believe we're getting there. We're getting there as you see more and more people from diverse backgrounds in just getting hired in these roles. But that can't happen unless people have the skills, and it takes schools that are like CareerDevs, and we're not the only school that I believe targets and creates opportunities for people of low income backgrounds from all nationalities, whether they're white, and we have the largest portion of our student body are white, right? So you just have to focus in and help the people that need the help the most to gain the skills, and then leave it up to them, and they can create their own destiny.
Yeah, I think there's something like innate in what you're doing that just brings diversity, as you've been talking about. So, I think that makes sense. Yeah. So, with CareerDevs, you're taking a pretty big risk by guaranteeing your students with money, with graduating or their money back, or with a job after graduating and their money back. How do you set your students up for success after landing a job and having them being successful in their first job in tech?
Right. Well, that it only seems like a risk when you look at the status quo, because no school guarantees that. You call any college and you call their outcomes department, you speak to their outcomes professionals, and no one keeps a record of how many students graduate and how many students get placed into the job of their choice, into the career of their choosing. And we know, because we call a lot of schools and we pretend to be students looking for an opportunity. And those are the questions that we ask. And no one, they don't have that information. And when we ask them if they can guarantee us that we'll get a job when we graduate, or we don't have to pay them anything, it sounds crazy. So it's only seems like a risk when you look at the status quo, the current market dynamics. But when you think about it, there are a lot of companies that give you satisfaction guaranteed, or your money back.
Yeah.
Right? If you purchased a car and it didn't work, imagine saying to Ford or GM or Chrysler, Daimler, aren't you taking a great risk telling your customers that you guarantee the operational ability of this car, or they get their money back?
Right.
Doesn't that sound, and see how that sounds? That sounds crazy. And that's when that's the way that an entrepreneur should really look at the world. Entrepreneurs should really be able to look at situations as they currently exist and say, I'm not crazy, they're crazy.
Yeah.
Right. And so maybe I am a little crazy, but it is the crazy ones that change the status quo. But now, in terms of how do we ensure that happens? So now we're incentivized, by the way. Once a student signs up and they agree, the burden is on us. And they are our product. They are our cars, they are our phones, and we want to guarantee. So it's not that difficult. And what happens is, the disconnect that is happening in this world is that because schools do not have to guarantee, can you imagine what the quality of a new car would be like if a company didn't have to guarantee that it operated effectively? Think about how shoddy the streets would be full of hoopties, right? And so I don't know, again, we get this question a lot, and I don't know.
It's so funny. It's like, I'm asking you this, I'm rethinking my question. I'm like, wow, that is a ridiculous question.
Right. So, but it's normal, because that's the way the world operates. And at one time, the world was flat, and to us, that's the way the market of education is flat. And we're trying to show everyone that it's round. So just to tie a little bow on that, what we do is that we give them real world skills. We give them the academic and the intellectual pursuits of elegant computational science. They learn how to become computational thinkers. They learn the rigor. They become algorithmic monsters. We like to say, an algorithm a day keeps poverty away. And so they are able to do the heady stuff, but then they're able to take the book sense, and they pair it with an amazing portfolio of full stack projects that they've developed, for the most part individually, but then 20% of those things demonstrate that they can work in an agile environment as a team, and that they can go into a company on day one and they can begin developing and adding value to that company instantly. And it's just our process. It's like our trade. It is part of our trade secret, I would say. It's our secret recipe, whether it's like Coca-Cola's secret recipe or KFC. And again, it's normal to us. But we've had companies when they've hired and they've interviewed our graduates from CareerDevs, they've hired them right on the spot.
Wow.
They said, wow, we were impressed with your GitHub repo. We were impressed about what we saw, but having you here now and bringing you through, you did the at-home test, and now you're here, you're going through a coding challenge with our senior software engineers, and you blew them out of the water. Right?
Nice.
And so we prepare people to be workforce ready on day one.
Yeah.
And we do it in 12 months instead of 4 years.
And in this process, do you run into the issue of like reputation? Like here's a new program that people haven't heard of. Does that become an issue, or because it sounds like your stories?
Yeah. And I think our biggest threat is against the incumbents, because our reputation, we have one of our graduates that's working for Amazon making $140,000 a year. We have other graduates that are making 130, 120, 115, 110, 105, several around 95,000, a gaggle around 80,000. And so, you know what it is? The big companies that are not the big tech companies, they get it. But when you get these old school companies from old school industries that have these software engineering departments, they're kind of shy. Or they may say they have a 4-year accredited college degree requirement, right? And the students that are graduating from some of these schools can't really write code upon graduating because everything has been so disjointed throughout the entire process and time in college. Again, it's crazy. But so the biggest, I think there's some, you get the talk from this institution and that institution saying, oh, don't play with them. And it's the gatekeepers. It's the gatekeepers that try to keep us out, but they won't succeed. You can't stop progress. You can't legislate the status quo. Change is going to happen. So the dinosaurs meet asteroid.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. So last thing I want to ask you about is your payment model makes sense in computer science and a generally high paying field. Do you believe it can translate to other industries? And if so, are there any industries that first question, do you think it'll translate to other industries?
Absolutely. We believe this can translate into kindergarten. Imagine a parent being given the opportunity to send their child to a school that's going to guarantee their success from K through 12. And then when they graduate high school, they pay maybe a little more than what a 1-year student pays for CareerDevs. But there are other ways that we can really bring that price down. And so, yes, this model can work for K through 12. It could work for any other skill and talent or major where there is demand. And I believe what's happening is that there's a huge tectonic shift that's taking place. 21st century skills, where we already know by the year 2030, what's happening to 40, 50, 60% of their current jobs. Automation is going to move those things out of the way. And so we have to look at the future and say, what's the most efficient way? 4 years to prepare someone to add value to the economy? No, not at all. 1 year, yes. And so this can be applied to anything where there is great and long-lasting demand, which all the jobs of the future fit that model.
Yeah. All right. I think that makes sense. Well, with that, how can people learn more about CareerDev and get in touch with you, either social media or your website?
Yes, I'm easy to find, Arnell Milhouse, and there's only one Arnell Milhouse on the planet. And from there, I've done TED Talks, a Google Talk. I've done a TED Talk, TEDx, a Google Talk. And then for Career Devs, it's CareerDevs.com. Go there, enroll, sign up. We have a free 8-week program for anyone who wants to become a part of our full stack army. We call them our full stack newbies. And so anyone can join the full stack newbie program and go through a free 8-week hands-on immersive introduction to computer science. And at the end of those 8 weeks, they can say, wow, you know what? This might be for us. Let me sign up now for the 1-year Career Devs program.
And that's all in Rhode Island or remote or?
Nothing is anywhere. We're online.
Okay.
We have students from all across the country and people from across the globe. So
awesome.
We're all online. We moved online before everyone else moved online. They were forced to move online with COVID-19. We moved online prior to that, which I think is a testament to our foresight and vision as well, just saying why. And you know, it's interesting. And I know we're probably gonna be ending it here, but when we made the move online, our attendance increased by 7.5%. And the outcomes, the quality and engagement spiked.
Really? Wow.
And we would never go back. We would never go back. The students love it. And yet we hear, and actually I did this as well. I attended a number of our competitor schools. I've gone into their Zoom meetings and I've been able to sit in there and watch them. And I just shake my head. I go, this is not the way to do online education. There's no interest, passion. It's not designed. It's like they're trying to take the old, you remember the war between, the colonies and the British, where they would march, right? Just hold out their guns and stand in line, don't fire until you see the white of their eyes, and fire, right? And people would drop and then the next line would come up. It's like that's the type of methodology that they're using. It's so antiquated and outdated that there's a reason why there's such a large drop-off percentage. We've out of the 48 students that have come through CareerDevs that have graduated through CareerDevs in the last year and a half, 46 of them have landed jobs. And that's 95.68%, I believe, which is astronomically high.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't know. So, we're excited. We love what we do. And so I'm going to say one more thing. I'm sorry. I know I'll probably keep you going. So if you just need to end this button, because this is one thing. We are passionate. My business partner, Cliff, and myself, we are extremely passionate about what we do, and we care about people. We truly, truly care, because this country has so much potential, but there's no reason why 70% of our population should be living paycheck to paycheck. And while unemployment may be at 3%, who cares if unemployment's at 3% if 70% of the population are working dead-end jobs? And so we want to change that. And that passion and care that we have is a major, 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 major reason why CareerDevs is so successful. So
yeah, your passion definitely shows through. And I'm gonna stop it right there.